Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 10, verse number 114. We will continue our reading from Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langhete Girim, Yat Kripatamham Vande, Shri Gurum Dintarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram, Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse number 114 from the 10th chapter of the Madhya Lila. अतएव स्वरूप आगे करे परीक्षण शुद्ध है यदि प्रभुरे करा ना श्रवण. It was a practice of Swarup Damodar Goswami to examine all literatures and find out whether their conclusions were correct. Only then would he allow them to be heard by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we know, Swarup Damodar Goswami was the personal secretary of Mahaprabhu. Now, it's purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that if something impedes the execution of devotional service, it should be understood to be impure. Pure devotees of the Lord do not accept impure principles. Impure devotees accept rasabhas or overlapping contradictory mellows and other principles opposed to the bhakti path. The followers of such impure principles are never accepted as pure devotees. There are many parties following the path of rasabhas, and the followers are sometimes adored by ordinary men. Those who adopt the conclusions of rasabhas and Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddh are never accepted as devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swarup Damodar Goswami never approved such followers as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, nor did he allow them even to meet the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse number 115 now. Vidyapati Chandidas Shri Gita Govind Tina Gite Karana Prabhura Anand. Shri Swarup Damodar used to read the poems of Vidyapati and Chandidas and Jayadev Goswami Shri Gita Govind. He used to make Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very happy by singing these songs. Verse 116 Sangite Gandharva Sama Shastre Brihaspati Damodar Sama Ar Nahi Mahamati. Swarup Damodar was an expert, a musician as the Gandharvas, and in scriptural discussions he was just like Brihaspati, the priest of the heavenly gods. Therefore, it is to be concluded that there was no great personality quite like Swarup Damodar. Purport: Swarup Damodar Goswami was a very expert in music as well as the Vedic scriptures. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to call him Damodar because of his expert singing and musical skills. The name Damodar was given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and added to the name given by his sannyas guru. He was therefore known as Swarup Damodar or Damodar Swarup. He compiled a book of music named Sangeet Damodar. Verse 117 Advaita Nityanandera Param Priyatama Shivasadi Bhakta Ganera Hai Prana Sama. Sri Swarup Damodar was very dear to Advaita Acharya and Nityanand Prabhu and was the life and soul of all the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur. Verse number 118 Say Damodar Asi Dandavat Haila Charane Padiya Shloka Padite Lagila. When Swarup Damodar came to Jagannātha Purī, he fell flat before the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offering him obeisances and reciting a verse. Verse 119 Helo Dhunita Khedaya Vishadaya Pronam Milad Amodaya Shamayach Shastra Vivadaya Rasadaya Chittar Pittonamadaya Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya Samadaya Madhurya Maryadaya Shri Chaitanya Daya Nidhe Tava Daya Bhuyad Amandodaya. O Ocean of Mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation by making everything pure and blissful. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. Your auspicious mercy pours forth transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to jubilate. Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates devotional service and glorifies conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. Purport this important verse from Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya Natak 8.10 specifically describes the Lord's causeless mercy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the most magnanimous personality of Godhead, distributes his causeless mercy in three ways to the conditioned soul. Every living entity is morose in the material world because he is always in want. He undergoes a great struggle for existence and tries to minimize his miserable condition by squeezing the utmost pleasure out of this world. But the living entity is never successful in this endeavor. When in a miserable condition, a person sometimes seeks the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but this is very difficult for materialistic people to understand, to obtain. However, when one becomes Krishna conscious by the grace of the Lord, the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord expands, and in this way a materialist may gain freedom from his miseries. Actually, his mind is cleansed by his transcendental connection with the lotus feet of the Lord. At such a time, one is enlightened by the loving service of the Lord. There are many different kinds of scriptures, and by reading them, one often becomes puzzled. But when one receives the mercy of the Lord, his confusion is mitigated. Not only are the scriptural disparities resolved, but a kind of transcendental bliss is awakened, and in this way one is fully satisfied. The transcendental loving service of the Lord constantly engages the conditioned soul in serving the Lord's lotus feet. Through such fortunate engagement, one's transcendental love for Krishna is increased, one's position is thus completely purified, and one is filled with transcendental bliss, accompanied by the spirit soul's jubilation. Thus, the transcendental causeless mercy of the Lord Krishna is manifested in the heart of the devotee. At such a time, material needs no longer exist. The lamentation that invariably accompanies material desires also vanishes. By the grace of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position, and then the transcendental mellows of the spiritual world are manifested in him. One's devotional service then becomes firm, and one engages in the Lord's transcendental loving service with great determination. All these combine to fully awaken the devotee's heart with the love of Krishna. In the beginning, a conditioned soul is bereft of Krishna consciousness and is always morose in his material activities. Later, by associating with pure devotee, one becomes inquisitive to know the absolute truth. In this way, one begins to engage in the transcendental service of the Lord. Next, by the Lord's grace, all misconceptions are vanquished and the heart is cleansed of material dust. It is only when the pleasure of transcendental bliss is awakened by the Lord's mercy one is completely convinced of the value of devotional service. When one can see the pastimes of the Lord everywhere, he is firmly situated in transcendental bliss. Such a devotee is relieved of all kinds of material desires, and he preaches the glories of the Lord all over the world. These Krishna conscious activities separate him from the material activities and the desire for liberation, because at every step the devotee feels himself connected with the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Although such a devotee may sometimes be involved in household life, he is untouched by the material existence due to his constant engagement in devotional service. Thus, everyone is advised to take shelter of devotional service to become happy and liberated. Verse 120. Utthana Mahaprabhu Kaila Alingana Dui Jane Prema Veshe Haila Achetana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised Swarup Damodar to his feet and embraced him, and both became ecstatic in love and fell unconscious. Verse 121. Ketakshane Dui Jana Sthire Yabe Haila Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanre Kahite Lagila. After they had regained their patience, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak. Verse number 122. Tumi asibe aji swapnete dekhila bhala haila andha yena dui netra paila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I saw in a dream that you are coming, and so this is very auspicious. I have been like a blind man, but your coming here restores my vision. Verse 123. Swarup kahe Prabhu more kshama aparadha tuma chadi anyatra genu karino pramada. Swarup said, my dear Lord, please excuse my offense. I gave up your company to go elsewhere, and that was my great mistake. Verse 124. Tomar charane mor nahi prem lesha toma chadi papi muni genu annadesha. My dear Lord, I do not possess even a trace of love for your lotus feet. If I did, how could I have gone to another country? I am therefore a most sinful man. Verse 125. Muni tuma chadila tumi more na chadila kripa pash gale bandhi charane anila. I gave up your company, but you did not give me up. By your rope of mercy, you have bound me by the neck and brought me back again to your lotus feet. Verse 126. Tabe Swarupa Kaila Nitayra Charana Vandana Nityananda Prabhu Kaila Preme Alingana. Swarup Damodar then worshipped the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu in turn embraced him in the ecstasy of love. Verse 127. Jagannātha Mukunda Shankara Sarvabhauma Sabhe Sange Yatha Yogya Karila Milan. After worshipping Nityananda Prabhu, Swarup Damodar and Jagannātha Mukunda, Shankar and Sarvabhauma, as was befitting. Verse 128. Paramananda Purira Kaila Charanavandan Puri Gosani Tanre Kaila Prema Alingana. Swarup Damodar also offered his worshipful prayers at the lotus feet of Paramananda Puri, who in return embraced him in ecstatic love. Verse 129. Mahaprabhu Dila Tanre Nibrite Vasa Ghara Jaladi Paricharya Lagi Dila Eka Kinkara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then gave Swarup Damodar residence in a solitary place and ordered a servant to serve him with the supply of water and other necessities. Verse 130. Aradin Sarvabhauma Adi Bhakta Sange Vasiya Achena Mahaprabhu Krishna Katha Range. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat with all the devotees headed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and they discussed the pastimes of Krishna. Verse 131. Hena Kale Govindera Haila Agamana Dandavat Kari Kahe Vinay Vachan. At that time, Govinda appeared on the scene, offered his respectful obeisances, and spoke submissively. Verse 132. Ishwara Purira Bhritya Govinda Mora Nam Puri Gosanira Ajnaya Ainu Tomar Sthan. I am the servant of Ishwar Puri. My name is Govinda, and following the orders of my spiritual master, I have come here. Verse 133. Siddha Prapti Kale Gosani Ajna Kaila More Krishna Chaitanya Nikate Rahi Seviha Tanhare. Just before his departure from this mortal world to attain the highest perfection, Ishwar Puri told me that I should go to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and render service to him. Verse 134. Kashishwara Asibena Sabatirtha Dekhiya Prabhu Ajnaya Muni Aino Tuma Pade Dhana. Kashishwara will come here after visiting all the holy places. However, following the orders of my spiritual master, I have hastily come to be present at your lotus feet. Verse 135. Gosani Kaila Purishwara Vatsalya Kare More Kripa Kare More Thani Pathaila Tumare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, my spiritual master Ishwar Puri always favors me with paternal affection. Therefore, out of his causeless mercy, he has sent you here. Verse 136. Eita Shuni Sarvabhauma Prabhure Puchila Puri Gosani Shudra Sevak Kanhe Ka Tarakhila. After hearing this, Sarvam Bhattacharya asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why did Ishwar Puri keep a servant who comes from a Shudra family? Purport: both Kashishwara and Govinda were personal servants of Ishwar Puri. After Ishwar Puri's demise, Kashishwara went to visit all the holy places of India following the orders of his spiritual master. Govinda immediately went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for shelter. Govinda came from a Shudra family, but because he was initiated by Ishwar Puri, he was certainly a Brahman. Sarvam Bhattacharya here asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu why Ishwar Puri accepted a disciple from a Shudra family. According to the Smriti Shastra, which gives directions for the management of Varnashram institution, a Brahman cannot accept a disciple from the lower caste. In other words, a Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra cannot be accepted by as a servant. If a spiritual master accepts such a person, he is contaminated. Sarvam Bhattacharya therefore asked why Ishwar Puri accepted a servant or disciple born of Shudra family. In answer to this question, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied that his spiritual master Ishwar Puri was so empowered that he was as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As such, Ishwar Puri was the spiritual master of the whole world. He was not a servant of any mundane rule or regulation. An empowered spiritual master like Ishwar Puri can bestow his mercy upon anyone, irrespective of caste or creed. The conclusion is that an empowered spiritual master is authorized by Krishna and his own Guru and should therefore be considered as good as Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. That is the verdict of Vishwanath Chakravarti Sakshat Dharitvena. An authorized spiritual master is as good as Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Hari is free to act as he likes, the empowered spiritual master is also free. As Hari is not subject to mundane rules and regulations, the spiritual master empowered by him is also no subject. According to Chaitanya Charitamrita Ante Lila 7.11, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Tar Pravartan, an authorized spiritual master empowered by Krishna can spread the glories of the holy name of the Lord, for he has the power of attorney from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the mundane world, anyone possessing his master's power of attorney can act on behalf of his master. Similarly, a spiritual master empowered by Krishna through his own bona fide spiritual master should be considered as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. That is the meaning of Sakshat Dharitvena. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore describes the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the bona fide spiritual master as follows. Verse 137, Prabhu kahe Ishwar haya Parama Swatantra Ishwarera Kripa Nahe Veda Partantra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and my spiritual master Ishwar Puri are completely independent. Therefore, neither the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead nor that of Ishwar Puri is subject to any Vedic rules and regulations. Verse 138, Ishwarera Kripa Jati Kuladi Namane Vidurera Ghare Krishna Karila Bhojane. The mercy of spiritual personality of Godhead is not restricted to the jurisdiction of caste and creed. Vidur was a Shudra, yet Krishna accepted lunch at his home. Verse 139, Sneha Lesha Peksha Matra Shri Krishna Kripar Sneha Vasha Hena Kare Swatantra Achar. Lord Krishna's mercy is dependent only on affection. Being obliged only by the affection, Lord Krishna acts very independently. Purport: Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is merciful, but his mercy does not depend on mundane rules and regulations. He is dependent only on affection and nothing else. Service to Lord Krishna can be rendered in two ways. One can serve the Lord in affection or in veneration. When service is rendered in affection, it is the Lord's special mercy. When service is rendered in veneration, it is doubtful whether Krishna's mercy is actually involved. If Krishna's mercy is there, it is not dependent on any prescribed caste or creed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to inform Sarvam Bhattacharya that Lord Krishna is a spiritual master of everyone and he does not care for mundane caste or creed. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cited the example of Lord Krishna's accepting food at the house of Vidur, who was a Shudra by birth. By the same token, Ishwar Puri, an empowered spiritual master, could show mercy to anyone. As such, he accepted Govinda, although the boy was born in Shudra family. When Govinda was initiated, He became a Brahman and was accepted as Ishwar Puri's personal servant in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Sri Sanatan Goswami states that one who is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master immediately becomes a Brahman. A pseudo spiritual master cannot transform a person into Brahman, but an authorized spiritual master can do so. This is the verdict of Shastra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Goswamis. Verse 140, Maryada haite koti sukha sneha acharane paramananda haya yar namas shravane. In conclusion, dealings in affection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead brings happiness many millions of times greater than dealing with Him in awe and veneration. Simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, the devotee is merged in transcendental bliss. Verse 141, Eta bali govindere kaila alingana govinda karila prabhura charanavandan. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Govinda, and Govinda in return offered his respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Verse 142, Prabhu kahe bhattacharya karaha vichar gurura kinkara haya manya se amar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then continued speaking to Sarvam Bhattacharya, consider this point, the servant of the spiritual master is always respectable for me. Verse 143, Tanhare apan seva karaite na yuyai Guru ajna diyachena ki kari upai. As such, it is not befitting that the Guru's servant should engage in my personal service, yet my spiritual master has given this order. What shall I do? Purport: a Guru's servants or disciples are all God brothers to one another, and as such they should all respect one another as Prabhu or Master. No one should disrespect his God brother. For this reason, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Sarvam Bhattacharya what to do about Govinda. Govinda was a personal servant of Ishwar Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master, and now Ishwar Puri had ordered Govinda to become Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant. So what was to be done? This was the inquiry Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed before Sarvam Bhattacharya, an experienced friend. Verse 144, Bhatta kahe Gurura ajna haya balwan, Guru ajna na langhiye Shastra Praman. Sarvam Bhattacharya said, the order of the spiritual master is very strong and cannot be disobeyed. That is the injunction of the Shastras, the revealed scriptures. Verse 145, Sa Shushruvan Matari Bhargavena Pitur Niyogat Praharitam Dvishadvat Pratyagrahid Agraja Shasanam Tad Ajna Gurunam Hi Avicharaniya. Being ordered by his father, Parshuram killed his mother, Renuka, just as if she were an enemy. When Lakshman, the younger brother of Ramchandra, heard of this, he immediately engaged himself in the service of his elder brother and accepted his order. The order of the spiritual master must be obeyed without consideration. Purport: this is a quotation from the Raghu Vamsha 14.46. Lord Ramchandra's statement to Sita given below is from Ramayana Ayodhya Kand 22.9. Verse 146, Nirvicharam Gurur Ajna Maya Karya Mahatmanah Shreyo Hi Evam Bhavatyascha Mama Chaiva Visheshataha. The order of great personality, like a father, must be executed without consideration, because there is good fortune in such an order for both of us. In particular, there is good fortune for me. Verse 147, Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanre Kaila Angikar Apna Shri Anga Sevaya Dila Adhikar. After Sarvam Bhattacharya said this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Govinda and engaged him in the service of his personal body. Verse 148, Prabhura Priya Bhritya Kari Sabe Kare Man Sakala Vaishnavera Govinda Kare Samadhan. Everyone respected Govinda as the dearest servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Govinda served all the Vaishnavas and saw to their needs. Verse 149, Chota Bada Kirtaniya Dui Haridas Ramai Nandai Rahe Govindera Pash. Both Haridas Senior and Haridas Junior, who were musicians, as well as Ramai and Nandai, used to stay with Govinda. Verse 149. Verse number 150. Govindera sange kare prabhura sevana, Govindera bhagya sima na yai varnana. They all remained with Govinda to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore no one else could estimate the good fortune of Govinda. Verse 151. Govindera sange kare prabhura sevana. Ar dina mukund datta kahe prabhura sthane, Brahmanand Bharati aila tumar darshane. The next day, Mukunda Datta informed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Brahmanand Bharati has come to see you. Verse 152. Ajna deha yadi tanre aniye ethaye, Prabhu kahe guru tenha yab tanra thani. Mukund Datta then asked the Lord, shall I bring him here? Purport, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Brahmanand Bharati is like my spiritual master. It is better that I go to him. Verse 153. Etavali Mahaprabhu Bhakta Gane Sange Chali Aila Brahmananda Bhar Tira Age. After saying that, this Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees came into the presence of Brahmananda Bharati. Verse 154. Brahmananda Pariyache Mriga Charambhara Taha Dekhi Prabhu Dukha Paila Antara. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees approached him, they saw that he was covered with a deer skin. Seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very unhappy. Purport: Brahmanand Bharati belonged to the Shankar Sampradaya. The title Bharati indicates the member of one of that Sampradaya's 10 classes of some sannyasis. It is customary for a person who has renounced the world to cover his body with deer skin or the bark of a tree. This is enjoined by the Manu Samhita, but if a sannyasi who has renounced the world simply wears a deer skin and does not spiritually advance, he is bewildered by false prestige. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not like to see Brahmanand Bharati wearing deer skin. Verse 155. Dekhiya ta chadma kaila yena dekha mani, Mukundere puche kaha Bharati Gosani. Sri Brahmanand Bharati wearing the deer skin, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pretended not to see him. Instead asked, yes, Mukundatta, where is Brahmanand Bharati, my spiritual friend? Okay, verse number 156. Mukunda kahe e aage dekha vidyaman, Prabhu kahe tenha nahena tumi agyan. Mukund Datta replied, there is Brahmanand Bharati in your presence. The Lord replied, you are incorrect. That is not Brahmananda Bharati. Verse 157. Anere anya kaha nahi tomar jnana Bharati Gosani kene paribena sama. You must be talking of someone else, for this is surely not Brahmanand Bharati. You would simply have no knowledge. Why should Brahmanand Bharati wear a deer skin? Verse 158. Shuni Brahmanand kare hriday vichare, mora charanambra aina bhaya inhare. When Brahmanand Bharati heard this, he thought, my deer skin is not approved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhar kahena charambara dambha lagi pari charambara paridhane charambar paridhane samsar na tari. Okay. Let's do this 160 again. Aji haite na pariba ei charambara Prabhu bahirvas anaila janiya antara. From today on, I shall not wear this day skin. As soon as Brahma and Bharati decided this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, understanding his mind, immediately sent for the robes of a sannyasi. Verse 161. Charamba chadi Brahmananda parila vasana Prabhu asi kaila tandra charana vandana. As soon as Brahman Bharati gave up his deer skin and covered himself with sannyasi robes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and offered his respectful obeisances to his lotus feet. Bharati kahe tumhar achar loka sikhaye te punah na karibe nati bhaye pana chitte. Brahmanand Bharati said, you instruct the general populace by your behavior. I will not do anything against your wishes. Otherwise, you will not offer me respects, but will neglect me. I am afraid of this. Verse 163. Sampratika dui Brahma iha chalachal Jagannātha achal Brahma tumi ta sakala. At the present moment, I see two Brahmans. One Brahman is Lord Jagannāth, who does not move, and the other Brahman who is moving is you. Lord Jagannāth is the Archvigraha, the worshipable deity, and it is he who is the non-moving Brahman. But you are Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you are moving here and there. The two of you are the same Brahman, master of the material nature, but you are playing two parts, one moving and one not moving. In this way, two Brahmans are now residing at Jagannath Purī, Purushottam. Verse 164. Tumi Gaura Varana Tenha Shamal Varana Dui Brahme Kaila Sabha Jagat Taran. Of the two Brahmans, you are the fair complexioned, and the other, Lord Jagannath, is blackish. Both of you are delivering the whole world. Verse 165. Prabhu kahe satya kahi tumar agamane dui Brahma prakatila Shri Purushottame. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, actually, to tell you the truth, due to your presence, there are now two Brahmans at Jagannath Puri. Verse 166. Brahmananda Naam Tumi Gaura Brahma Chala Shyama Varna Jagannath Vasiyachena Achala. Both Brahmananda and Gaura Hari are moving, whereas the blackish Lord Jagannath is sitting tight and immobile. Purport: Brahmananda Bharati wanted to prove that there is no difference between the Supreme Lord and the Jiva, whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to prove that he and Brahmananda Bharati were Jivas, and that although the Jivas are Brahman, there are many, but the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Brahman, is one. On the other hand, Brahmananda Bharati also wanted to prove that Jagannātha and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are one, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that to fulfill his mission, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to be moving, whereas Lord Jagannāth appeared to be inert. Thus, the jolly argument was going on. Finally, Brahmananda Bharati referred the whole matter to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for a final decision. Verse 167. Bharati kahe Sarvabhauma Madhyastha haina inhar sane amar nyay bucha mana diya. Brahmananda Bharati said, my dear Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, please become the mediator in this logical argument between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and me. Verse 168. Vyapya vyapak bhave jiva brahme jani jiva vyapya brahma vyapak shastrete vakhani. Brahmananda Bharati continued, the living entity is localized, where the Supreme Brahman is all-pervading. That is the verdict of the revealed scriptures. Purport: Brahmananda Bharati drew Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's attention because he wanted him to judge the argument. He then stated that Brahman, the Supreme Lord, is all-pervading. This is confirmed by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita. 13.3 Kshetra Jnam Chapi Mam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata Kshetra Kshetra Janayor Jnanam Yat Taj Jnanam Matam Mama. O Scion of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower of all in all the bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. The Supreme. Oops. I have just flipped my page, so please bear with me. Okay. So I will just carry on from here next time. Thank you for joining. Hare Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौरा प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।